Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a special guest with us, Brother Lorenzo Knight, and I'm going to ask him a few questions, and we're going to get to know his story. He's got a powerful testimony, and he has been a blessing here at Victory over the last few years. But we just want to kind of get to know him a little bit and see where God has brought him from, and see what God has in store for him. Brother Lorenzo, what was your home life like as a child?
Well, I grew up in a single-parent home. My mother raised me. She did the best that she could with what she had. She really didn't have much, but she worked hard for me and my brother and my sister. It was three of us. She was 13 when she had me, so she was pretty much a child herself. And growing up, I guess it was hard on her end just as well as it was on our end, because being a child, trying to raise a child is, you're gonna go through a lot of phases in life and a lot of situations that are uncertain. But she managed to pull it off, to do, to raise us the best way that she possibly could. And I'm so grateful for her because she actually showed us how to be strong, to not depend on help or anything like that, and my dad, he was in and out, during the situations of life. I guess you can say when I needed him the most, he was there. I guess, due to traveling and moving from here to Missouri and back here, it kind of wedged the gap between, I guess, our relationship as far as my father goes.
Right.
But my mother, she made a way even when it seemed like that it wasn't no way.
Right.
I mean, you look at society now where it's hard for one parent just to raise one child, but she did it with three. And I can remember when she was a senior at W.P. Daniel, which is New Albany High School now. She used to drop me off at Mattie Thompson and go to school.
Wow.
And she still graduated and got her degree.
That's awesome.
Yes, that's totally a blessing. And I'm so grateful for her. And growing up, it was hard because, not having a father around constantly, you intend, especially as a young boy, you intend to look for a father figure. And as I was growing up, I pretty much didn't have nothing but older cousins to look at.
Right.
And they pretty much was in the same boat I was in, and they was running the streets and doing a lot of things that, you shouldn't be doing or you shouldn't be involved in. But I looked at that as an opportunity of trying to be like them.
Right. Trying to fit in.
Yeah, trying to fit in, trying to look for that father figure.
Right.
And I guess, my mother, she tried so hard to shield me in and tried so hard to protect me from going that route.
Yeah.
But I guess, once I got older, became a teenager, from sneaking out to hang with older cousins and older friends, and kind of made it a little bit easier as far as in I could go and spend the night with one of my older cousins,
Yeah.
And, she really didn't know what was going on at the time. I can remember one night I was with some older cousins, and we was out real late. And I think I was about 16 or 15. And we've been partying. We was over some older friend's house, and we ended up leaving. And when we left, we ended up getting pulled over, or we went through a roadblock. And at the time, I wouldn't say that I was just just fully fledged, smoking, but I, did it every now and then, every blue moon.
Right.
But occasionally that was one of the blue moons that night. And, when I seen them lights, I was like, oh my God. I never, I've been involved in, transactions as far as selling drugs and all that at a youth, but it wasn't it was my first time actually approaching, the police or
first interaction with
with the law. And I end up had a bag in one of my pockets, in one of my front pockets, and the cop at that time, ended up finding it on me. But that night I could think, oh my God, what am I gonna tell my mother?
Yeah.
And it was one of the first hardest decisions in my life that I ever had to face was, allowing or telling my mom that, hey, I got caught with marijuana, and it wasn't no way around it because I was a kid. I didn't have no $300 for the ticket.
Right.
And I can remember that next morning, I just found the courage to just tell her, I woke up and I told her, I said, hey, I had got a ticket last night.
Yeah.
And she was like, a ticket? Ticket for what? So I just handed her the paper. I didn't even say no, I just handed her the paper. And when she read the paper, I mean, it literally broke her heart.
Oh, man.
Because, she always had high hopes for me of being the first one to, I guess, not just, finish school, but to go to college and everything. She had real high hopes for me because, I was an athlete and I was real good at basketball and was just then getting good at baseball.
Yeah.
And she didn't want me to fall victimized to the streets,
Right, right.
And I can tell that first step really actually broke her heart at that time period.
Yeah. After getting caught that first time and did it become easier to keep living that lifestyle, to keep doing what you were doing as far as, partying and buying and selling or whatever? Did it become easier after getting caught that first time? How I guess what I'm trying to ask is,
did that set the tone for
it? Did that just kind of push you over the edge and like, well, that wasn't that big of a deal. I keep going down this road and it's no big deal.
Well, actually, I kind of took a break from it because my career was on the line at the time. It was a lot of talk that was in the air talking about, I had got caught, and it kind of put a toll on my image.
Yeah.
And it really, I'm not gonna say that it set the tone, but it kind of made it to where, okay, the cat is out the bag. It's out the hat. So now I pretty much was like, after I took the break, I guess you can say it kind of did in a way, because I still kind of kept it from her.
Right.
And, the more I hung around older cousins, the more I kind of like got more involved in, smoking and drinking and all that. But after that situation, I actually kind of took a break from it, and I still, was still, selling at us, for a little bit. It kind of made me more, I guess, I could hide more,
Right.
It made me, I know she's aware of it, but she actually really wasn't aware of it,
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you tell a white lie,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in my pocket, but, it wasn't mine. And actually, it wasn't mine.
Right.
And now actually, I was holding it for a cousin of mine because they had history. And, but it kind of made it to where I can say, yeah, actually it did open the doors, because after that it's like I went straight downhill.
Yeah.
I mean, it opened a whole lot of other doors that that caused me to be more open with it.
Yeah.
I guess in a certain way.
Just kind of made it a little more easier to go ahead and try to do a little bit more than what you were doing.
Right, because after I took that break, that's, I guess you can say, it's just like smoking cigarettes or any other habit. If you stop and you're not allowing God to be the head of it, it's only a matter of time before you get back into it.
Right.
And once you do, you're gonna go a whole lot stronger than you was beforehand.
Right. So you were in trouble with the law a pretty good bit as a teenager and young adult. I mean, how hot were you on their radar? I mean, every time you come out the house, were you looking behind you, making sure somebody wasn't following you or trying to set you up with a trap or a sting or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I kind of moved like a thief in the night. I mean, I went 10 years, or maybe a little bit over 10 years, before I actually caught any charges. My first charge with the law, which it was that, but I was a minor, so that pretty much didn't stick. But as time went on, I was 21. I think I was 21 when I first caught my charge. I had a possession charge, possession of cocaine and a firearm. And about a month after I had caught that charge, they hit me with a secret indictment. And so I pretty much flew under the radar as far as the law goes for quite a bit of a time. I mean, I don't see how I did, because I was actually 32 years old when I got my license.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I lived like, I was driving with the drugs and, New Albany, the roadblocks and all that.
Right.
I mean, I don't see, it wasn't nothing but God.
Yeah.
Even when I was in the world, a lot of things I can't even explain how I got out of it. Nights where I blacked out while I was driving, don't know how I got home.
Right.
And I guess I can say even during my times in the world that God still had his hand upon me.
Yeah.
He seen something down the road that I couldn't see.
Right.
And and as far as, the law goes, out of me being in the streets for all the way until I got locked up, and selling drugs, I never had a run-in with the cops.
Yeah.
I never stayed at a location. I always stayed on the move. I guess that played a major role, not having a set up spot where I'm actually selling drugs from.
Yeah.
I made it convenient for people to where if I meet up with you or I come to you, or we'll just meet up at certain locations, and it kind of made it to where I guess I flew under the radar for a long period of time.
Right. Now when did you get locked up, and tell me a little bit about your time being locked up?
I caught another charge about 9 months after I had caught the last 2 charges. And I knew then, after bailing out one time and then having to bail out again, when I caught my 3rd charge, I knew it was over with.
Yeah.
I mean, I had longer hair then, so when I had got locked up, I just started taking my hair down because I knew I was going to be there for a while. And so I was 22 years old, and it's ironic because the day I had got locked up my 3rd time, it was on my mother's birthday.
Mm.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. It's a crazy way of how you can give your mother a birthday gift on her birthday.
Yeah.
But I end up having to do, well, they gave me 15 years, actually 30. They gave me 30. They suspended 15 from my 2 previous charges and gave me 15 for the charge that I had for my robbery charge. And I didn't have to do it. It wasn't mandatory, so I had to do a percent of that 15. And at the time, it was 85%. And so I ended up doing almost close to 7 years off of that charge. And going through the process of being locked up and being incarcerated, it was hard. I went through a lot of phases. A lot of times I thought that before I had got locked up that I thought I was grown. I thought being grown was paying your own bills, not having to ask or depend on anybody else. But no, I realized that I was still a child at the age of 22. And excuse me, I had to grow a lot. A lot of things that you can only get experience from a father figure. You know, it kind of affected me, you know, as far as growing, you know, being incarcerated, because you're around nothing but men. You know, you're around all kinds of men. You know, all types. I mean, it was pretty much a serious wake-up call. You know, I seen a lot of different things. Some things that, you know, you wouldn't believe that's going on behind prison doors that are really going on. You know, as far as the guards and all. But that time period, I feel like that if I would have done 2 or 3 years, I probably would have came back out being worse than I was before. Yeah. You know, God seen fit that I needed to be there for a while. Right. And I was only supposed to do about 4 years, but the first 2.5 years of going in, I was getting in trouble, catching RVRs, which was like disciplinary actions and all that. And I end up lengthening my time. But it was harsh environments. I mean, you having to have no privacy. You know, you having to shower with other men's. You having to share TVs. I mean, it was something that I, you know, wasn't used to. You know? Right. And what was your breaking point? What was your turning point to where you said enough's enough, and I can't do it on my own anymore. I need something, and you decided to turn to God to take control of your life. When did that happen? When did that transpire? What was your breaking point, I guess? I mean, you know, getting in trouble, losing my privilege as far as, you know, visiting privileges, phone privileges, not being able to contact my family members. And at the time, my wife now, we was going through a hard time. I was going through a hard time with my mom. It seemed like everyone that I conversate with on the outside world, it was a major conflict, you know. Right. And I realized, you know, that it wasn't them, it was me. I was the problem. And it was one July night that I was on my rack, and I never cried one time while when I was going to prison or while I was in prison. But when I went to the point to where I lost, you know, my only hope and lifeline of being able to talk to my family and everything's good with them, to where it went south and went sour, it really took a toll on me. You know, I laid in my bunk that night and I cried like a baby, and I was asking God, you know, why did I had to make the decisions that I made, and for him to allow me to be in the situation that I was in, and for the people that I loved and cared about really just didn't, you know, pretty much just wash their hands with me. And it was a major wake-up call for me, because then I actually realized that it wasn't them that was the problem, I was the problem. So I told God that night and made a promise with God that, you know, I see that a lot of my problems come in with my ways, you know, and the addictions and all that. And I told him, you know, I know that it's gonna be hard, you know, to try to stop smoking cigarettes and all that. But I told him, if I take one step, and your word say you give me two, I'm gonna put you in the head of all of my addictions, all of my ways of me being stubborn or selfish or anything. And that next morning, when I woke up, I felt a major release. I mean, and I put forth the action, you know.
Right.
I didn't stop smoking right on the dime, but I went from smoking 10 rolls a day to 8, and it kept decreasing. It kept decreasing until God took it away from me.
Right.
And the way I interact with other inmates, I'm talking about it, and I stayed in the Word. I read my daily bread, the daily bread that that inmates was getting at the time from my chaplain. They was called Daily Bread. I think I done seen some here before, but the name of it was Daily Bread. It goes 3 months, 90 days. I read it every day. And when I read it, I read the scripture, and I was seeing how other people was going through so much, and they conquered what they went through.
Right.
And it gave me hope. It gave me strength. And with me, you know, instead of reading the Word and allowing God to work through my life and going to church and being involved in church activities and stuff, it kind of made a way for me. God made a way to where even my conversations with other inmates was different.
Right.
I mean, the way I carried myself was different. I mean, me just constantly reading His Word and trying to find the ways of how to live the life that He wants me to live. It was all new for me, but I was willing to go that extra mile because I hit rock bottom, and I knew the ways that I was going about and how I was trying to fix the problems myself. I wasn't able to do it.
Right. Right. What since you decided to allow God in and allow God to start working in your life, what other than Him helping you with the addictions and overcoming the addictions, what else has He helped? What else has He done for you since you decided to surrender everything to Him? What's your life been like ever since you made that choice? You still had to do some time. I mean, He didn't just open the door and say, "Here, go back to all your freedoms." But you still had some time to serve. So tell me a little bit about what transpired after you allowed God to start taking control of your life.
Well, actually, He changed my perspective of the way I looked at everything. I mean, the things that used to bother me, it didn't bother me no more. You
Right.
know, as far as in waking up, hearing dominoes slam on the table early in the morning, it just became, you know, something that I just brushed off. I mean, any kind of negativity that was going on or that was going on around me, it didn't bother me no more.
Yeah.
I mean, I became, you know, selfless. I lowered my pride. I mean, he didn't just, you know, he kind of like just made a way to where He worked inside of me, you know.
Right.
All the things that I was going through on the inside, it came out on the outside.
Right.
I mean, it's unexplainable of how He came into my life to where it's like that I had no more problems no more.
Yeah.
Nothing that I couldn't, you know, overcome. Like you said, no, He didn't open the doors for me, but He changed my perspective to be able to be content and to be happy and to be able to do my time to get back to my family.
Right.
The conversations that I interacted with my loved ones, it became different. I mean, it was more of me, you know, being thoughtful and caring about other people's feeling and putting myself in other people's position and say, hey, how would I go about, you know, looking at or caring for other people's needs or responding to what other people want in life. And he just made a way to where it was amazing. I mean, he opened so many doors for me, and a lot of doors that hurted me throughout, growing up, things and pain that I held inside as far as, not having a father around or my older relative leading me down or showing me the wrong path. I mean, he made it to where I forgave people that hurt me in the past that I, kept it buried inside of me for so long, even, with my mother. Because I was at an early age of working and having to, help her out and growing up really before my time.
Yeah.
But I was able to forgive all of those things. I mean, the harm that I did to others, the harm that other people done to me. I mean, it was amazing how he changed and cleansed my heart to forgive.
Right. When you finally got released, what was your first move? What was your plan of action? What were some of the goals that you had that so you didn't end up back in the same boat that you just got out of? So.
Well, my first move was coming here.
Yeah.
When I first had got released, my wife had came and picked me up, and we went to Walmart for something. But I felt so out of place, for not, being incarcerated for so long that being out in the open, it wasn't, it was a major game changer for me.
Right.
But that night, she was telling me about, which I already knew about Victory Church, and she said, well, we're having church service tonight. What a better way to come out of prison than, going straight into church.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I'm game for it. I mean, it was, it was like because I always went, to church while I was incarcerated, and I dreamed about being in a live service, being in a free world service. And so I was very eager and I was very excited about coming. And when we came, I had, I was nervous in the beginning because I was like, well, maybe if it's like the churches that I've been, done been to, or is people going to, look at me strange or try to, judge me before they even get to know me.
Right.
But when I came, I felt a major peace. I mean, I felt the love the first day. I mean, it wasn't years or months on down the line, the first day. And I received the baptism of the Holy Ghost April the 24th, 2016 here. And, it's been, I thought that I knew the presence of God while I was incarcerated, but like I said, he's taken me deeper and deeper. I mean, and, not to say that it doesn't mean that all my problems went away, but I'm able to deal with life and my problems a whole lot better than what I used to, because I used to react on, anger, but now I sit and I think about things now.
Right.
I mean,
you allow the Spirit of God to direct you, guide you.
To lead and guide and direct my path. And I feel like that he ordained my steps, and he blessed me tremendously by, having the wife that I had, and to be able to it's like he set everything in place.
Right.
My bittersweet jail was the worst thing, but also it was the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
It opened up my eyes a whole lot, and God, he showed me that, there's more to life than just, yourself.
Right. Right.
And
did you ever think growing up or even in doing time that life would ever be as good as it is right now?
Never.
I mean, you've got your family, you've got a good job, you've got the local church here, you've got an awesome pastor. did you ever think in a million years that God would allow all of this to be you, to be your life?
Never in a million years. I mean, it's like I'm words can't explain it now. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here talking to you, giving you my testimony, and I always been shy in life. So it's really been a major game changer. I never thought that I would be living for God the way that I am.
Yeah.
I never thought that God would move in my life and move in me like the way that He had. I always thought that even when I gave my life to Christ, I always thought that, okay, me just not doing the things that I used to do, that's it.
Right.
But I realized that it's way more deeper than that.
Yeah.
When you're lost and when you cross over and give your life to Christ, that you have a mission.
Right.
And the mission is to go out and save the ones that was right next to you while you was smoking or drinking or partying or anything like that.
Right.
And it's like a ongoing process, and the more that we dig into it, the more we're gonna get out of it.
Right.
And I never thought that God blessed me so much to where the things that I was searching for or seeking while I was in the world, I didn't accomplish.
Right.
But when I gave my life to Him, everything that I was seeking and trying to accomplish, I accomplished. A home, a family that loves God, that seeks God. Having children that's involved in the ministry. It's been amazing.
Right.
If He don't do nothing else, He had done enough for me.
Right. If there's a young man or young lady sitting out there that's been where you've been, that's sitting there with a single parent or without a parent at all, and trying to survive life, and have made some bad decisions already, made some wrong choices. What would you tell them? What would you tell them to do? What would your words be to them to help them to avoid the same mistakes that you made?
Well, for one, sometimes you gotta put aside yourself, and listen to your parents or whoever your guardian is. And a lot of times when we're young, we think that they want to control our life, but they actually telling us, they see what we can't see.
Right.
And a lot of times you'll try to sit up there and thinking that, you getting over on your parents, or, you want to have fun, you want to party, you want to do this, and your parents telling you not to go here, not to do that. It's for a reason.
Right.
And if they already done crossed that threshold, then my thing is, it's a dead end. Sin is always going to be a dead end. It's always going to bring forth death. No matter how long or how you do or how you go about anything, but there's no excuses for a single parent, being raised in a single home. There's no excuses. There's always hope. And when you're going through those situations, I always know that, you need to find someone that's have a connection with God. That's the main thing, because if you go seeking answers from people that's in the world, you're going to get worldly answers.
Right.
Carnal people can't help you be spiritual,
Right.
And my main thing for the youth, for people that's going down those roads, those roads leads to dead end. There's no hope in that. I know sometimes they'll try to say living for Christ is boring, but when you cross that threshold, it's not.
Right.
It's actually the best feeling that you're gonna ever get.
Right.
Catching the Holy Ghost is the best high that you will ever have in your entire life.
Yeah.
It's unexplainable, and it's not something that's gonna leave you empty.
Right.
It's something that's gonna fill you.
Right, and continue to
and
grow.
continue to grow. Right. I mean, it's something that's unexplainable that, you know, you gotta be able to want better.
Right,
You know, if you don't want better, then better is not gonna happen.
right,
You know, for any, you know, teens or even adults that's out there, you know, drugs or partying, you know, it's only good for a season.
right,
You know, and nowadays we live in a perilous time that you need something that's going to last. You know, and the only thing that's going to last is being connected to Christ,
Right.
allowing God to move and to work in you, and you know, the ways of the world is going to always lead you to a dead end. You're
Right.
going to always want more. You're going to always want more. You're going to always feel empty after you do those drugs or you do the alcohol. But the main thing is to try to find out what causes you to want to do those things.
right,
You know, seek help, like I said, you know, find someone that's a close pastor or a relative that does go to church. You know, if your parents don't go to church or anything like that, find someone that does.
yeah,
You know, and you know, sometimes you can't just find anybody. You know,
Right.
because everybody that go to church doesn't mean that they're saved. You know?
right,
But you know, changing your ways and living for God, man, it's amazing. I mean,
it's worth it.
it's worth every dime, every penny of it. You know,
Right.
I wouldn't change the way. You know, I went through a lot of turmoil. I went through a lot of pain. I went through a lot of storms. But you know, I'm here, and I thank God so much every day for the blessings that He has bestowed upon me. I
Right.
mean, it's just truly unexplainable.
That's right. And you know, it's because of the grace of God. It's by
Only the grace of God.
It's by the mercies of God. And the amazing thing is about God's grace and God's mercy is it's unending. The scripture says that His grace is from generation to generation, that His mercy is everlasting. And so it doesn't matter who you are or where you're at in your life. If you want God, God will meet you right where you're at. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the past that you've lived. It doesn't matter. There are no circumstances that God's grace and God's mercy can't reach beyond to reach where you're at. But just like Brother Lorenzo, you've got to make that decision. You've got to come to yourself and say, all right, enough's enough. I've tried everything that I thought I could do and make it on my own. And so, God, I'm surrendering. And when you decide to surrender to God, God's grace and God's mercy will meet you there. And His Spirit will lead you and guide you. And just like it has for Brother Lorenzo, he has been a huge blessing here at Victory. Ever since he started coming here, he has had a heart of a servant, and God's blessed that. He does things around the church inside and out, and he started helping in our intervention class and ministering to those that are still battling addictions, and God's using his testimony and using the heart of a servant, and we are so excited and we are so blessed to have him in the body here at Victory, and we can't wait to see what else God opens for this man here. He's got great things in store. If you would like to know more about seeking God, if you'd like to know how you can start a relationship with God, please leave a comment, send us a message there on Facebook or YouTube, and one of our staff members will reach out. We'll set up a Bible study with you. We'll break it down and give you the ABCs to how to turn your life around, just as Brother Lorenzo has. And we look forward to hearing from you. We hope you have a great night. God bless you. We love you.